Hey guys, I had the most amazing interview with Lathan Jr., formerly with TMC, currently on the Higher Learning podcast with Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Listen, we had such a conversation. This is definitely probably going to have to be a 2-part episode. We didn't even take commercial breaks. So we are going to take a couple of interrupted breaks. We will figure out the best place to put them. But I just want to warn y'all now. I'm going to leave that up to Chris. But this is an episode you do not want to miss. And if you are following us on YouTube, we will definitely put the video of this episode on YouTube for everyone to see all the facial expressions and for everyone to enjoy. But for right now, let's get into the show. Welcome to the Trill and BA Show. I'm your host, Felicia and Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Happy Sunday. Listen, guys, I have a very, very VIP guest in studio today. Oscar winner, media mogul in the making.
Media dude,
so he says. But listen, the star has been shining bright for years. It continues to rise. I'm very happy to have our in-studio guest, Lathan Jr., everybody. Hey, Van.
What's up, guys? Very happy to be here.
Thank you for liking the black ladies.
I do.
I know. I
love the
that.
black ladies. Yeah, of course, man.
I appreciate
They made me.
that. So listen, I appreciate you for coming on the show. Since we've moved production out to LA, it's been interesting. It's just been an interesting. LA has been very interesting.
How so? How's LA been interesting? I take interesting to have a pejorative connotation here.
Well, first of all, everything's double.
Okay.
For no reason, though. And supposedly the reason was the weather and the sunshine and the nature and the better food options, better health, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've been here since October. This is the first week. It's been like, oh, this might be a break. This might get it. This might be.
Talking about weather-wise.
Yes.
Do you blame yourself? Because before you got here, it was beautiful. So I see you assigning.
So fucked up.
I see you assigning a lot of blame to the atmosphere here in Los Angeles, but I've actually complained about the sunshine before. I've been like, yo, is a sunny day something that you can actually even appreciate if there are never any clouds? There was,
yes.
At one point, I remember some years ago, I described it as oppressive sunshine. Like, every day is beautiful. And so
slavery sun.
Like, I don't feel that way no more. Now I'm like, let's get back to 35, 40, 50 straight days of sun.
Yeah.
But my point overall is that we was bussing until you came here.
Okay. Sadly, I have had that thought because I have low self-esteem.
Oh, Jesus.
So Christ. I have had that thought. I was like, is this my fault? Yeah. No, it's the devil. I know it's the devil because there were a number of like little things that happened after I got here. But before, like the whole moving process, like everything was in flow, everything was easy. And then I got here and discovered that I didn't even have an oven.
No oven.
No oven. The heat didn't work. It was 50 degrees at night. The heat didn't work.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so you must be doing the right thing because it was working good. And then you got here and it's supposed to scare you off. And so that's when I knew I was in the right place.
So when I first got to Los Angeles, 2006, I lived in a place in Van Nuys. It was Sketch. When I say sketch, I mean very sketch. I saw an ad on Craigslist and said $500 for one room.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
live in a
not
place.
safe.
It was in an apartment complex. The guy was renting us the room. Me and another guy named Dan, who I just happened to meet, who was renting the other room. He was renting us the rooms, but he wasn't the landlord of the apartment complex. And so he was subletting the room in some sort of way.
He was Airbnb before Airbnb.
Yeah, he was kind of probably like Russian mafia B&B, something like that. So I got in there. All I had was an air mattress and a computer with a broken disk drive. And that was life for a while. Yeah. I was just so happy to be here, though. I remember getting there and meeting Dan. Dan ended up being my roommate for some years after that because we moved, became friends, and then we moved and got another place. And it's in the valley, like deep in the valley. It was hot as shit. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking Dan, like, yo, why we don't never run the air? He goes, the air doesn't work in this apartment. And I'm like, okay, shouldn't we call the people and have them come fix the air? He goes, we can't.
Right.
Because we don't live here. He lives there. I was like, can we call him and ask him to call them and have them fix the air? And he goes, I'd manage how much you want to be in contact with him. And I'm like, God damn. So my whole thing was I would come home, I would hang out in the apartment for a second. I actually had to have cable come hooked up to the apartment so I could watch HBO boxing. And then I would go get in the pool. I would get in the little pool that they had and I would just wade. And I would come back in and let the water of the pool cool me down enough till maybe I could sleep. And it was like that for probably about 6 months. And I look back at that now. I look back at the sheer brokenness that I've survived.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm almost impressed with myself. Mm-hmm. 'Cause like the ingenuity was so impressive. It's like you would go to the Chinese food place over there in Burbank and they would give you your food and you would be like, hey, I could save this. I could eat half of this now and then eat half of it for dinner. And so people would come in, like my friends, and they expect me to like have all of this Los Angeles success. And I'm actually telling them how I'm surviving LA on like $50 or $60 a week. And they're like, this is not what we thought Hollywood was. Mm-hmm. On the buses everywhere, learning the whole city on the bus, boom, 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 because I'm taking the bus everywhere. But then just like one day, one era in life, I just realized I had kind of figured the city out. I figured out where you go, how you go there, who you're supposed to know, where you're supposed to go, the places where you chill, the places where you need to know somebody before you touch down. And I fell in love with Los Angeles. And whereas Baton Rouge is where I come from and it's the city that made me, LA is home. I love it here.
Really?
Love it.
Do you miss Baton Rouge?
So I miss the feeling. So like I was just home a couple of weeks ago, and when you get there, there's this like, when I'm at home, right, I know how 4 o'clock smells. Mm-hmm. Not even how it looks. Mm-hmm. I know how it smells. I know how it feels to like have it rain and rain and rain and rain and rain, and then for it to stop raining and people start coming back outside of their houses and all of that stuff. And you did that for years, for a long time. You were in these specific places. You were doing all of this stuff. And then when you leave, your body remembers it.
Yeah.
So like I love Baton Rouge, but more like a brother or a sister. Like it's a sibling, the city is, and the energy of the city. So when I go back, I see my mom, I see my sister, I see my family, but I also see my city. Right. But I had to leave it.
Yeah. Does it feel like home when you go back?
It feels like the womb.
That's interesting.
It feels like the place that created you. Not necessarily the place that's home. Because when I come back to Los Angeles, I feel like I'm at home. It's where I sleep the best. When the plane touches down, I'm like, I'm back in LA. Right. So LA is home now. That,
let me tell you, just having that, and we're going to get to work stuff, but just having that is a dream of mine.
What?
Because having somewhere I can call home Because since my mom and my grandma died, my mom and grandma raised me. And since they've died, I have never felt at home anywhere. And I've never had anywhere to go per se. So like I'll go to my cousin's houses sometimes over the holidays, or my really good friends, they'll invite me, but I always feel like a guest. And I know one of my cousins is going to be very mad at me when she hears this, because she's like, what you mean? This your house, my house, your house. I get that. And I know you love me, but it's not the same.
Yeah. So like my parents got divorced 2002 through 2003. And after they divorced, me, my mother, my father, and my sister were never all in the same room again. And like home took on like a new connotation, because our place used to be a place that people congregated and that came. And when mom and dad broke up, she left and moved in with my grandmother. And it was just me and him there. And with just me and him there, even the house that we had was no longer home.
Right.
Because just like little things that she would notice, things that needed to be taken care of, things that needed to be done better, the house just didn't have a spirit anymore. It was gone. And me and this nigga fucked that place up in record time. Like I'm turning on the stove and it's pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, the stove is popping. I'm like, so we just gonna let that motherfucker pop? We just gonna let it's a house that we had built. It's like, we're not gonna call. He's like, who should call? He's like maybe call your mama and ask who we should have come. I'm like, Dad, that's not how it works anymore.
Right,
like that's over.
Right.
And so I think part of me making a new home was feeling that I didn't have a home even where I grew up anymore.
Right.
Now it was like everybody's spread out for everything else. My friends got older. People had families. People started moving away. So there was like a part of me that was like, you should go create your own home. And I did.
And that's beautiful. And I think for me, I've been so busy fighting in corporate and trying to figure that out to then get to a certain, I guess, economic place to where I can be like, okay, this is it. I built a house when I was living in Dallas working at Frito-Lay. And even when I built that house, I was like, oh no, this isn't. I didn't want to screw up my mom, the little money that my mom was able to leave me. Like she was a teacher's aide. And so her retirement, I get $300 and some a month for the rest of my life. Okay. And then I got a $10,000 check. Oh. And so I didn't want to screw that up. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy a house with this. Yeah. Best decision, because that house is now worth double what I paid for. So like, I'm like, this is great. So if all shit fails, I got a safety net. I can sell it.
Go and you could sell the house.
I could sell it, whatever. But then I also still have my childhood home and I own that property as well. So like, it's like baby generational wealth. Trying, the best. They did the best they could, right? Yeah. But making a home also means that you've probably done a lot of networking, which is something.
To a degree, yeah.
Do people tell you? Because I've seen it just at the gym. It feels like everybody, whether they are known and celebrity or whether they are just regular folks that live here in LA. I feel like if there was like a mayor of LA, you know how small towns have, like that's the mayor of the town now. That's the real mayor, but this dude is like the mayor of the town. He know everybody. I feel like that's Van Lathan Jr.
Yeah, there are definitely guys in LA who probably fit that bill a little bit better. But I'll say this though, for me, like I'm interested in people's stories, and I'm interested in sort of why people are the way they are. And the people at the gym are so like varied.
Yes.
We got a French lady that comes from the French Alps. We got a lady that came out there to be a fireman. We got our trainer, Joel, who was a soccer player. Everybody's story is so interesting that I think that connecting with people for me It's just like learning about them. Okay, okay, well, where are you from? What do you do? How many brothers and sisters do you have? And I think it's important that when you network or when you do it, that you do it like consciously and you're present. I mean, I'm not trying to get anything from anybody at the gym. As a matter of fact, I don't want to talk business at the gym, and I've told people that several times. Right. You know what I mean? I had my situation where I kind of felt the gym out and figured out like who was doing what and the whole nine, but now it's a Zen place where I'm going in there and I'm trying to get my deadlift stronger. Yeah. And that's my focus. I'm not trying to sell you nothing in there, and I don't want to be sold on anything. But I do want to know everyone. And I want everyone to feel seen when they're around me. And that helps me feel seen. Right. So, the networking that I do is almost accidental in that, like, I'm really interested in talking to people and making them smile and like kind of connecting with them.
Right. And just so you know, that should be no different in the workplace. So like, pro tip, guys, whether you're in Hollywood, whether you're in LA, whether you're, I don't know, anywhere in the world, like actually caring about other human beings or being interested or intrigued or curious, right? That's really how you make real human connections. Here's my philosophy. I think we're very similar in a lot of ways. My philosophy is if I feel good energy from you and then I'm interested, like I want to know about you, whatever God has for me, God has for me. So like, I don't need to go out and like strategically meet people so that they can place me in rooms or do something for me, or like, I don't have to live like that. I know a lot of people may live like that. And that was a thing I was concerned about coming out here, because I'm not on no, like, whatever that stuff is where they say people are LA, oh, they're fake, or they're always asking you, what do you do? What do you do? Are you a good human? Like, you like to eat? Like, I have 3 criteria for friendship. You must love to laugh. You must like to eat. Love to eat, low key, but you got to at least like to eat. Like, you can't go to Cheesecake Factory and order a salad and a flatbread. Right. Nah. You gotta get it in. You gotta get it in. Right. Because that's what we're here for. The brown bread. Okay? Right. The hot brown bread with the butter.
Yeah, the butter.
That's the start. And then we going in on that whole ridiculous ass menu, right? Right. We ain't salad eating chicks. So like, I mean, we're gonna have salad, but we're gonna have everything else with the salad, not just the salad. So for me, I've just always moved through the world, and then I love to connect people. So I love to introduce other people to each other, thinking like, hey, y'all might get along, or y'all are both working on something. Like even today, I connected this girl who's a PhD at the University of Georgia, and she's working on corporate purpose. That's what her dissertation work is about. But my friend had told me a couple of weeks ago when she came out here to visit me, she's like, I want to be a chief purpose officer. So when my friend that's in the program at UGA was like, hey, one of my colleagues is working on that, I was like, oh, they got to meet. Yeah. So today, they got the email. God bless them. I know greatness is going to come out of that. I love that shit. Because I don't know all what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be some dope shit.
My mother relates everything to cooking. Like, because she's a great cook. She relates everything to cooking. And she's just like, people are just ingredients. Yes. She's like, they go together. And like, when you put people together and it starts tasting good, like their friendship or their love or their bond, it's the same way as it feels when you put a meal together and it starts tasting good. You know the two things go together. It makes you feel like the universe has order. Yes. When you see things like pieces fit. You know what's interesting about the LA thing in terms of what people do? There's a reason why I acclimated to that so well. So like, my relationship with my father was a relationship with a man who wanted to be known for the things that he could do. Like, my father had his own company. He was a small business owner, but he wanted to be known as a horseman, a hunter, an outdoorsman. That's what he wanted you to see. He wanted you to know that he could shoot, that he could ride, as a father. So when he would talk to people, I would see him almost sort of reflexively giving his lifestyle to them. Like, well, I like to just go out in the woods and get there 4 day in the morning, just sit up on my deer stand. Even if I don't see a deer, I just like to be there. That's where I like to be. I like to be out there with the sun, concentrating, trying to be closer to nature. I like to think about, he used to say, I like to think about what I would be doing and how I would be feeding my family if there was no supermarket, which is a wild thing to think about in fucking 2001.
Right.
But that's what he would do.
Yeah.
So, when I hear someone say that they are like a model or that they are an actor or that they are an accountant or an exec, I legitimately wonder why. I wonder why you are that. With the trainers at the gym, they all have a story about why they became a trainer. One of the guys, one of the French guys, is a triathlete. That's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting. So, for me, when I introduce someone or I say, hey, this person like works here or does here, and I do that, it's more kind of introducing their story and their identity to someone. And then maybe that gives them something to talk about. And so I do see how it's obnoxious and how it grates on people because people want to be more than what it is that they do. But I think the vast majority of people are not.
That's fair.
I think most people spend so much time considering when and how they're going to make their next dollar that it almost makes sense to introduce yourself as your occupation since capitalism has us all girded. So for me, I think I don't mind it about LA because at least here, most of the people have some sort of creative motivation. It's people that try to write their way out of their past, act their way out of their past, sing their way out of their past, joke their way out of their past. So all of those things don't really bother me. And also because I don't expect anyone to help me do anything.
That part.
And sometimes that makes me not the greatest with people. And I'll tell you what I mean by that is like nobody helped me. Like there are always people who put me to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people confuse putting you to work with like helping you.
Right.
So when people go, oh, this person gave me my first shot, it's very rare that someone gives you your first shot out of altruism.
Right.
They think you can do something well.
Right.
Sometimes it happens where they go, oh, this kid's got some spunk, something about him. Let me give him but when someone puts you on TV or drafts you to their basketball team or puts you into a situation, it's normally beneficial for them. And what's gotten me further in my career is understanding that most situations between you and someone who you work for is actually more akin to a partnership than it is an employee-employer relationship because you're trying to do something for them and they're trying to get something for you. So the better you do what it is that you do, the better the partnership is going to be. And so like for me, if you tell me that it's a party and Leonardo DiCaprio gonna be there and we going to the party on Saturday, and then I don't hear from you Friday, and I don't hear from you Saturday, my nigga, I will play Madden and fall asleep.
Right.
And I will be completely okay. Right. Because I'm going to where I'm going, whether I come to your party or not, man. Right. There's nothing that you can give me that I'm not going to have. Right. And there's nothing that you can take from me that's supposed to be mine.
Yes.
So, like, it's cool.
Right.
We kick it when we kick it. We don't when we don't.
That's the motto.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. I feel like because of how I operate as a human, I don't really run into that. Like, you know, there's things that people tell you. And I've always been very conscious about the stories that people tell me versus let me have my own experience. Yeah. Because I've met nothing but kindness since I've gotten here. Like, people have been amazing. I got 2 great people working for me now, helping me, right? Because people have been amazing. So I've yet to run into the LA fakeness or whatever. Like I haven't seen that yet.
Like my brain always has these little sparks to where I have a realization in the middle of something happening. Like I remember when I lost my virginity, there was a moment where I realized that I was actually about to have sex, and it almost didn't happen because I couldn't get out of that moment. I'm like, shit, like people really be fucking, and this is about to happen to me. Like she really, and I was just looking, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing. Okay, so yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll be doing this. And so to me, I'll be looking at, like, somebody will be talking to me, and then it'll dawn on me that they full of shit. And I'm not mad. I'm blissfully amused by the moment. I'm like, this nigga lying.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's all gravy, bro. And then I'm like, yo. And so I never can really get mad or disappointed because it's always so interesting to me.
Yeah, because why are they doing that?
Because they're trying to defend themselves. So here's another thing that I understand. Like, your brain is always working for you. Mm-hmm. So whenever someone does anything, whenever you have a thought or a feeling, even a panic attack, which I suffered from for a long time, is your brain doing what it thinks it needs to do for you.
Right.
Your brain is saying, you have chemicals that are running through your mind, and those chemicals are telling you that you're in danger. Mm-hmm. Now, they're wrong, but your brain is still working on your behalf. Mm-hmm. The trick to kind of figuring out where things come from is to understand why your brain would do something that your consciousness didn't ask it to do.
Right.
Like why the reflex is. So when someone is lying, when someone is being deceptive, when someone is being fake, the question isn't whether or not they're a good person. The question is, why do they feel like they have to do that? Like, what do they feel like is inadequate about themselves? Someone says, we're going to go do something, I'm going to call you. Is that somebody that is just insecure about how to end an interaction?
Right.
Because there'll be people there that be like, yeah, a little talking, and because they're afraid to be like, all right, well, I got to go. Like, sometimes I'll just look at people, I'll be like, okay, and I'll just walk away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's over.
Right.
But some people get so weird about how to say goodbye to somebody, especially at a party or something, that they'll go, yeah, man, okay, cool, I'm going to call you. And that means that this interaction is over. But it's a lie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like, they'll move because of that. And so, like, in most situations like that, the thing is to try to understand why people do the things that they do. Why people say the things that they say, why they act the way that they act. Like, I remember riding with one of my homeboys, and we get to a spot in New Orleans, and the niggas in there were rich. Because we got to the age where guys started going to the NFL, like in Louisiana and stuff. And I see him start going, and now the women in there aren't good enough for him. Man, these hoes, bro. I'm not feeling none of these hoes, man. These hoes. I'm like, nah, dog, man, her ass shaking. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's lit up in this. What the fuck are you talking about? But he was feeling inadequate.
Right.
Because fucking Rondell Mealy was in there, or whomever was in there.
Right.
And so his defense mechanism was to shame the objects of his desire.
Right.
And so rather than like getting to it with them, you like, man, we could go somewhere else. Or, bruh, I mean, we still us.
Right.
So kind of let's figure out like what the deal is. So I think over the course of my life, I'm a little bit more gentle with people because there's a part of me that realizes that except for some rare cases, everybody's just trying to do their best.
Yes, that part. And I think the biggest takeaway that you just said that resonated with me was around basically giving people grace. That's what I heard from what you said. It's like, hey, why do you feel the need to do that? Like, something must be going on with you. You must be having some type of human experience. And to be able to extend people that type of grace, it's a blessing.
It's grace or rope. Depends on how you look at it. Like, you can either be giving people enough grace, because I'm not going to take no bullshit, right?
True.
It's either grace or rope. You very seldom get the best part of a human being within the first couple of times you meet them, right?
Right.
So when I say rope, I mean, like, I'm cool with you, but the moment that you
act a fool.
Yeah, now you've hung yourself.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, you can unhang yourself, but it's hard.
Right.
Because if you're hanging from a rope, it's very difficult to climb back up the rope and get back to where you were.
Right.
And I'm not a vindictive person, but like, it's not like a kumbaya situation. It's really just not that serious.
Right.
Like, people lie. People say they're going to do something and they don't do it. People say they're going to help you and then they don't help you.
Right.
Everybody can abandon you. You're going to have to eat for yourself.
Yeah. My mom, she raised me and she always said, your word is your bond. Mm-hmm. So when I tell somebody I'm going to do something, like, that's a thing for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to call you and I'm going to try to figure out how to make it right. If for some reason I fail and can't do what I said I was going to do when I said I was going to do it. That's always a big thing for me. So I've always had to surround myself with friends and people who are like-minded like that, because first of all, I wanted to have friends and I didn't want to cut people off. Because I will cut you off. I will cut you off so fast if I let you in the inner circle, mm-hmm. and then you a couple times say you gonna do something and you don't do it. Oh no, you can't be around us.
See, it was different for me. Like, my father was a very responsible man, but he was cavalier in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So it would be like, I had a lot of stuff I was into. Mm-hmm. So I would leave. I would have football practice or whatever, but then sometimes right after this, we would go to a place called the Ketchum Fitness Center, and we would play basketball to the end of the night. And I just remember it was always glitches. It was always, hey, Dad, we played 3:30 Friday. Come to the game, I'm going to be there. He doesn't come. Mm-hmm. Right? And sometimes you be hitting your cleats with your bat, you're looking around, and then all of a sudden you'll see him on his phone and you're like, oh shit, now I can relax and hit the ball. Right? Or you'd hear the truck because he drove a big diesel dually truck, and the truck would be pulling up and like, there he is right there, and I would stall till he would get there. Then, a couple of times things happened.
Right.
You get left at practice. You're supposed to be going to the gym to work out or going to do something else or going to Boys State or something like that, and you don't. Mm-hmm. And so I remember there was one particular day to where I was supposed to go somewhere, be somewhere. It was very important for me to be there. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody there to take me. It's maybe like 15. And I had some money. I had some money working with my dad. And so I took my black ass and looked in the phone book and called a cab and had the cab take me to where I was trying to go. And something dawned on me. I get there and I get out and I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm having a fun time. And it cost me nothing but the money that I earned.
Right.
And I realized that I got to get there.
Right.
It can't be anybody else's fault, no matter if they're my parents or not, that I don't get somewhere that I want to go if I'm able to make that way for myself.
Right.
So, it's people make promises and you hope that they deliver.
Right.
You really do.
Right.
And it is a testament to people's word if they deliver.
Right.
But the most important person that you need to deliver for you
is
you.
Yes.
And it's like the whole thing. Dudes, I remember having homies and they would complain that girls didn't cook. I'd be like, so nigga, you gonna starve? Go to the store and get some Cheerios, nigga, and pour the milk in the thing and eat.
Right.
Like, what, you gonna complain about the fact that you don't have a slave winch?
Right.
Or you gonna learn how to make a turkey sandwich? It's like, it's too much. Just go do it. And unfortunately, before my dad passed away, like, we had that conversation. I was like, you would say stuff, and I realized that I never didn't have anything that I needed. He was a consummate father. But the little things,
right,
that nigga will forget.
Right.
And he'll forget, and I'll be dressed ready to go play ball, and I'll be sitting like this, and he'll come home and he'd be like, why you wearing all that? And I'd be like, had a game, 4:00. Yeah, it's 5:15. Like, I probably missed it. And he's like, oh, damn, Daddy's sorry. All right, get your ass up and go back out there and feed the dogs.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the power to make him feel guilty. So what I'm saying is, all of that stuff, my therapist gets on me about this all the time. He's like, Van, you have to learn to rely on people. And I would tell him, I got to get to the airport. Like I gotta get to the airport.
I'm not asking anybody.
I'm not gonna ask anybody else.
Right. I'm the same.
Yeah.
But I'll go pick up anybody from the airport.
Nah, fuck all that.
But I'm right here. But man, I'm literally 9 minutes.
I could live right there where the hide is. I've had my time. I'm not going to pick you up. That's something I wouldn't ask somebody to do. I think it's actually insensitive to ask somebody to go into that hellscape and wait there and pick you up, nigga, in a cell phone lot. It's like the crazy shit. No way.
No, I think it's how I show love. I will go pick up my friends from the airport.
2 rules. I'm not picking you up from the airport, and I swore October 17th, 2004, I could call Gino right now. I'll never help anybody move ever again.
Oh, no, that I'm never helping anybody move.
Too many, 3 niggas moved in 1 week. My back, okay?
Yeah.
3 people moved in 1 week. I said, I'm not doing this ever again.
No. I helped my best friend, Krista, one time. And I said, first of all, I went to school and the ancestors, they worked hard. I don't have to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing it. And in fact, when I move, I hire an organizer to pack my stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
Movers come take it.
Hell yeah.
They take my stuff. Like how I moved here, I flew in the day after they had set up the whole house.
Talk your shit, Felicia.
I don't want to touch anything. When I get here, my bed's made, clean linens, everything's put away. Erica texts me the Wi-Fi. That's how that works. I don't want to see a box. Mm-mm. I'm not there. That's how much I hate. When I say I hate
little things. It's too much. I don't dig it. And also, like, you know, it's like there's more than one way to help.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this episode with Van Lathan Jr., but we've got to pay a couple bills real quick, and then we'll get right back into the show after this break. Hey guys, I want you to understand that we are doing dope shit over here at the Trill and BA show. So please, please, please subscribe, like, write a review. This is how you can support the show. And don't hoard this information. Tell a friend, guys. Tell a friend so that we can have more dope guests like Van on the show. Now, thank you for letting me interrupt the flow of the conversation. Let's get back into it.
And this is sometimes a thing between men and women too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I don't mean to trigger y'all.
This is the Trill. You gotta be Trill. You gotta keep it Trill.
Ladies just want you to do stuff just so they'll know that you'll do it.
Yeah.
And so, like, let me give you an example of something.
Yes, come pick me up from the airport. If you man, you picking me up from the airport.
We all going somewhere and we getting something to eat. It's the 3 of us. It's the 4 of us. We all going out. And I look at you and I say, look, I'm planning on eating all my food. Whatever you want, you can have. Because I'm on that T.I. shit. Whatever you like, man. Whatever you want. As a matter of fact, you can pick at stuff. If you say you just want to taste a piece of the steak, I order a whole steak.
For you.
For you. You can eat your food and just pick at the steak. But see, what's here is for me. This is a psychological battle. Because it's not even about the food.
Right.
It's about, I just want to know that I can eat off your plate. And so this used to be a thing when I was a younger man. It would be like a battle for me because I would be like, I'm telling you, just know how hungry you are. Because if you say you're not hungry,
right,
and then you come for my shit, I'm taking it as a diss. You fucking with me, you know? And I had to realize that it's really not about the actual action. It's about like how secure somebody wants to feel. And it's still, to be honest, even to this day now, still with Kalika, going someplace. I'm not hungry, baby. Just get some food. Like, just tell me what you want. So, baby, I'm not hungry. I'm like, yes, you are. You're going to be hungry when you smell it.
Right.
And I want every last fry. I'm 270 pounds. I want all my shit. He's like, I'm not hungry. And then like a little mouse, like the bag comes.
Just one fry.
And then boom, I give it to it. And it's like, and so for me, that's something that'll happen. But like on other things, steadfast. If you think that love means me coming to pick you up from the airport, cool. I don't love you. If you think that love means me helping you move, cool.
I don't love you. Yes. I mean, if I love you, I will pay for your movers. I will hire labor for you in my stead. What I'm not.
We're going down a rabbit hole because what you're doing is being a rational person. You're about to piss me off. What you're doing is being a rational person because you would think that somebody would look at that and say, hey, that's even better. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
It should be.
Yeah, because it's rational. What you're doing is being a rationally, emotionally mature person. Mm-hmm. But like just wanting to see me work on your behalf, that's some different shit, man.
Yeah, no, It shouldn't be like that. But also, I want you to recognize that thing that you're talking about. So I have a really good girlfriend I grew up with. She feels the same way you do. And then she has 2 kids. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, I thought she was going to kill all of them. Her husband and her 2 kids. Because she feels exactly like, do not ask me for anything on my plate. This is my plate.
Like a dog. Ow.
This is how I want my plate. I'm going to eat everything on this plate. I do not want to share. She hates to share her food. It is her biggest pet peeve. I think she almost divorced her husband over it because I don't care how much you want me to show you I love you by eating off my plate. You're not going to eat off my plate.
Yeah, it's just something that like just growing up that we just never did. Like just me, we just never did it. Like when my nephews and nieces started coming into the world, and they would come over. I remember one time I went to Izzo's Illegal Burrito in Baton Rouge, and I got like the chips and and I'm eating them. I'm playing Halo. You know, I'm fully like an immature. I'm wearing my Best Buy uniform. I'm like fucking playing Halo. I got the chips and queso. I'm in my bag right now. And my niece, who's now 21, Amar, she's beautiful. She's a little baby at this point. She's like this tall. She comes over and she grabs chips. She eats some. I'm like, ha ha ha, look, she old enough. She wants some chips. Okay, cool. And then she had some more. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then it dawned on me, yo, man, she fucking these chips up. Like, I didn't know she was to that point in life where she could really put a dent in your shit. And I'm like, yo. And I look over and her mother goes, don't you tell that baby she can't have no chips. It's your big ass. Let her eat. It was just the way we talked. I watched there. I tell Mari this all the time. She graduated high school. I watch her crease my whole bag of chips, ruin my whole fucking night. That's love.
That is love.
That's love for Uncle Van's baby.
Yes.
Because it wouldn't happen today.
No.
She grown.
No. She can get her own chips.
Yeah.
Great. Listen, with the Trill and BA show, you know, you're not exactly in corporate, but you work for big corporations. So, like, I think for you working at TMZ, being publicly fired, did you not lawyer up?
No.
Never thought about getting a lawyer?
Nah.
Why?
So it was an interesting situation. One thing was that we were already to the end of the contract. Mm-hmm. So I only had 3 or 4 weeks left at TMZ.
Okay.
And I understood, so it didn't really cost me that much money. It didn't cost me any money because they had to pay me out. Right. But I also understood why it was happening and that whatever was going on and had gone on at the office wasn't probably the reason. Like I wasn't going to re-sign the contract. They knew I was gone. And there's absolutely 0% chance that I would have been let go if they thought I was coming back.
Right.
So it kind of was a situation to where I kind of believe that in a way my firing was performative. Now I could be wrong about that. But like most other things that have happened to me, it worked for me.
Yes.
It was kind of Page 6 talked about it, right? It was a big thing. Now, let me be honest. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was very scared because you don't want to be labeled like an angry black guy who is choking out white coworkers because they're Republicans. Like you don't want to be labeled that. So I was kind of like all over the place about it, and I hit up everybody in my circle. Charlemagne, like, bro, what do you think? He was mad. Well, fuck the blah blah blah. Like Kimmel, Jimmy was like a really good friend to me throughout that. He's like, really, man, don't worry about it. Like, things are gonna be fine. Bill, everybody that was in my circle at that point. My dad was like, well, you can always come home and like help me run the company. I was like,
I love that.
That's the wrong thing to say, dog. I don't want to come home. But I never thought about lawyering up because I always knew I had another pitch. I had something else that I could do. I had things set up. After the Kanye thing, things started taking off for me. So it was like, just leave. It's over. It's time.
Now, talk about emotionally mature in that moment with Kanye. Like, I've never seen anybody be that emotionally mature at work. Because essentially, you're at work, but we're seeing you at work on TV, basically. Yeah. And so to have somebody come into your workplace and talk crazy.
Yeah.
And that happens, though. That happens to us, but it's just not televised.
Yeah.
We have people come in and talk to us crazy in corporate all the time. Sometimes it's our damn boss. And I think we can learn a lesson from, your thought process on what were you thinking during that time? Can you remember that?
I was just activated. Also, you have to remember, people talk about kind of staying calm in it, but that is my job. Mm-hmm. So in that situation, that was like my 7th, 8th year there. Mm-hmm. So I had battles in the office. We were on a TV show going back and forth. The camera didn't really mean anything to me. The status of the person didn't really mean anything to me. There were celebrities in and out of there all the time. I talked to celebrities all the time because of the nature of the job. So there wasn't really very much that would make me balk at speaking to him.
Right.
There wasn't really a lot there. And also in that particular situation, those thoughts were already baked because Ye had been doing what he was doing for a little while at that point.
Yeah.
So I only had to draw on things that I'd already been thinking to get to him. Now, that didn't mean I expected him to do what he did when he was in the office in terms of, what he said. But a lot of the emotions behind me saying all of that stuff were things that I had been thinking. I didn't even know he was coming there. Oh. They didn't tell me until 10 minutes before he got there. So that's something that had that happen the first year that I was working there, it wouldn't have gone that way.
Right.
And that's why one thing that I always tell people is timing is almost the most important thing that exists in your career. The reps.
Right. People
will say, Van, how do I get good at doing a podcast? You get good at it just by doing it. When I would moderate panels at first, or I'd be out there in front of a bunch of people, I would always wonder, what could go wrong? Mm-hmm. What happens if my mic gives out? What happens if a guest freaks out? Or what happens? Mm-hmm. And eventually, it all goes wrong. Mm-hmm. Eventually, one of those things happens to you in some way. And once it's all happened, you realize it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so for me, in the Kanye situation, I'm glad that it resonated with a lot of people, but that's we have been doing that for a while there.
Van, can you tell us about, you were scared, but you had your network? Because I recently, and I let my audience know last episode, I got let go from my job. Now, I lawyer up, though, because I'm in a different game. I won't be able to write a book like you wrote and have a whole chapter dedicated to any old employer that I've had because I always sign papers.
Right.
There's paperwork, there's lawyers, there's always, because I have this motto. In corporate, the type of job, the type of work that I do, usually there's a signing bonus. So they pay you to come. And I always tell my listeners and people who work in corporate, if they paid you to come there, they'll also pay you to leave. But there's caveats. There's always an agreement. So, they not going to talk bad about you. You're not going to talk bad about them. You're not going to sue them. They not going to sue you. You come to a term. So, all the shenanigans with page 6 and stuff couldn't happen in my world because we made an agreement. Now, if it does, now that's a whole situation that my lawyer will happily, jump on. But I've just always taught to lawyer up. But I think in this world of, entertainment, it seems like it's even better to have your story to tell.
Yeah. So, look, if things would have been, I don't even want to say that because I don't think that's true. I don't think I ever would have considered lawyering up in the first place. But I'll say this, it's I'm leery to, and this happens all the time, in entertainment, of course, NDAs and things like that. But I'm leery to be party to anything that takes my opinion away from me or my ability to express myself or talk about something, because that's kind of like what I've cultivated over the years. But, it's different, If you get released from your job in the NBA, if you get cut, you can't really lawyer up. They can waive you whenever they want.
No.
Unless it's something really direct. And in this situation, it was time to go.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, you have to make sure that corporations don't fire you for frivolous reasons. I feel like if there'd have been more to it, like a character assassination sort of deal.
Or a campaign to blackball you.
But even in that, they would never do that. Like once you're out of the office for whatever reason, whether you're fired or whether you leave on your own, you pretty much don't exist there anymore. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, actually, it's actually not a bad thing at all. It's it's a good thing. Like you don't exist there anymore. You spend there 9 years or whatever, and you meet all the people, and then you're kind of gone.
Right.
You don't exist there. Now, I do know that the story that was run the next day, because the first story that came out was very favorable to me, and I think the office hit back, but I expected that.
Right.
Because they didn't expect the culture or the community or whatever to be as displeased with my dismissal as what they were. And so I know that came from them. But even that, though, like by this point, we've moved on. We got meetings set up. We're wondering where we're going to go. We're figuring out all kinds of things. I always give Will Packer his flowers. Will Packer comes in, and he gives me a job on Central Ave. I don't have time to dry any tears. I got to get back to it.
Right. How much is that the reps, though, right? Having this community of people who keep you working or who rely on your talent, and know you're talented and trust that you're talented. Like, how much of that was all those years of, the first 6 months on the mattress, and that's reps, right? Yeah. And then, being on the tour. I can't imagine being a tour guide. You have fun doing it?
Oh, man, dog. What's crazy is, like, that was the first part of it. The first part of, like, being, like, surrendering, like, releasing. I get on the tour bus, people come in, and I look at them, and I make a snap judgment about the crowd. You can't help but do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you always get surprised with how excited people are, with how withdrawn they are, with what they like, with what they don't like, with who they want to see, who they don't want to see. I enjoyed doing the TMZ tour so much because it was me around people, and that interaction was awesome. I learned a lot about people. I got to perform. I got to tell people about the city. I got to be a little star.
Right.
And we had, like, I made memories on the tour that were, like, really, really awesome. You know what I mean? When it was time to leave it was time to leave it just because,
right.
33-year-old tour guides, like, whatever. There are a lot of people doing tours that are much older than that. I'm not trying, but for me, I wanted to keep growing in my career at TMZ. Right. But, it's like, that was fun. That was part of it. And that's another thing to where, you're essentially doing crowd work. Mm-hmm. So people might say anything to you.
Right.
And you have to be snapping. You have to come back, because the moment that it looks like you don't have a comeback or you don't have anything to add or you're vamping or you can't control the situation, the deal between the guy and the crowd is broken. And now they think you're one of them. And now they're wondering, why am I not doing a tour? If I can say something to him and he doesn't have something back, well, then I'm better than him. Then I'll take over his bus and I'll talk and I'll do all of this stuff and blah, blah, blah. So you got to kind of maintain that. Mm-hmm.
So do you do stand-up?
No.
Why not?
It's a different animal. It's a different beast.
But you tell jokes.
I tell jokes, but I tell jokes in long form, meandering, long-winded sentences. When you're up there, those guys are different. Those guys and gals are different. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's like a specific art.
No, stand-up I love it. I started doing stand-up last August, but I've had to take a pause because I'm trying to, again, my ADHD wants to do everything all at once. Right. And then but the reality is like, no, bitch, one thing.
Okay, yeah.
Or in the words of Erica, one thing. One thing. I want to ask you about being a voice for the community. Like, is that something you feel like because of your work and what you do that you picked that up and you've carried that? Or is that something, because it seems like from reading your book that you take that as a responsibility. You own that responsibility, or do you just feel like this is part of the job and I must do it? Or is it your conscious, like your spirit? Like, why have you picked this up?
I was kind of always like that. And it probably comes from a lot of different things. It probably comes from just being around older black people in the South. Mm-hmm. And them consistently reminding you of what things were like and like what you have to be thankful for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You'd be talking to your grandfather. Grandfather owned Ellis Corner Groceries. I'd go in there and get a chocolate milk, come back out, sit there and talk to him. And we'd be sitting there, white person come through, buy something, they leave, and he'd be like, 15 years ago, this couldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. 15 years ago, that guy would have come in there, called you a boy, called me a boy, the whole nine, and you just listen to all of these stories. You're in Maryland, where my father's from, and there's a low-hanging tree, and there'd be like their souls on that tree, like people got hung on that tree. And they tell you about the dynamics of the town and the two white families that own all the sugarcane land and the fact that it came from plantations, and you think, Jesus Christ, like how are these people smiling and dancing and making great food and loving on each other when they've been through so much. And then for me, I was in classes and a lot of my classmates were white. I went to a black school that had a program in it that like a lot of my classmates were white. And they would say things that I realized were historically and culturally inaccurate.
Yeah.
And the scary part that I realized was they thought that they were right. Mm-hmm. And that's very frightening. To think that you're right and you're wrong in a society where your opinion matters so much more than mine. Yeah. And so it just became a thing to where I don't know if, and I'm not even using this as a stat or a virtue or even talking myself up, but if you're in front of me and you come out with some shit and it's off, we gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And if that means that I can't come back again next week, I'm not coming back.
Right.
I'll never forget this. It's me, Bill Simmons, the guy who runs. I'm not going to tell who the guy is, but he's a very powerful guy in Hollywood. And we're at this Hollywood party and we're all talking. And the guy's talking about the most recognizable sports athlete from New York. He's like, do you know who it is? And I'm like, no, who it is? And he goes, who it is? He goes, Lawrence Taylor. And I'm like, I love LT, but no.
Yeah.
And they're hitting me and they're going, I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, man, if I put Derek Jeter right next to Lawrence Taylor right now, everyone's going to know Derek Jeter. If I put Alex Rodriguez, if I put Carmelo Anthony, I was like, bro, I could literally name like fucking 5 guys. LT is amazing.
Right.
But the reality is he plays football. He's got a helmet on. I started going into the whole thing. And everybody's kind of like, yo, Van is fucking up the vibe. Like, we need this guy. But I'm having a conversation because if you say something, I feel like you could defend it.
Right.
To round it off, it's like, white people be thinking that they know shit.
Yeah.
And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
Especially when it comes to things that exist culturally. So it's not even being a voice or like taking on some mantle. It's just about like, stop fucking around.
Right.
Let's like actually get to it and talk about it. Because, Van love everybody.
But then do you find that you get more respect?
I mean, it just depends, right? Because like, I've been scaring the hoes since like 93. You know what I'm saying?
Scaring the hoes, man.
I could call up dudes right now. Like we're sitting there. We're at a girl named Keisha's house. Shout out to Keisha, man. We're all sitting around and we all over there. Boy, we used to think we were so fucking, we just thought we were the men. We already, everybody's around. And then abortion comes up. And somebody says something. I'm like, nah, hell no. No. I'm like, no way. So you can't do that. You can't restrict what somebody can do. And she's like, you're telling me that a 16-year-old girl should be able to have an abortion? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. She said, I'm a woman. I was like, I don't care. I think that in a situation where somebody gets pregnant with the consent of their parents and blah, 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 I'll never forget. Ian just looked at me, just like this. And this look meant, nigga, are you going to keep this up? The weed not even here yet. The Hennessy's on its way. We trying to see what's up tonight. You gonna keep this up? And I look at him and I think for a minute I should stop, and I turn right back to her. And like literally 20 minutes later, everybody's like this. And me and her are still going, you know what? Okay, cool. You're a very smart, intelligent guy. I have to go to sleep tonight. Gotta wake up early. You guys can all leave. Blah, blah, blah. I never forget. I just can't do it. Like, I can't do it. I've been scaring the hoes since 93, since I first had a voice, you know? So
that means your friends love you.
they love me, but they also know that that's just who I am. If you bring me to a situation, it's a chance that I'm going to ruin the vibe.
And you're okay with that now?
Sure. Well, I mean, what ended up happening also was that things changed.
Okay.
Right. So what was considered to be, I guess, attractive or whatever at 21, it's different when you're like 31. And someone who can comport themselves in a specific way and is opinionated and passionate, it's looked upon differently the older you get.
Yeah.
Like when you're young, you just want to fit in. When you're older, it's very important to stand out and have a very direct and clean worldview. So I think it kind of changed. But at the same time, it's like I was just trying to make my voice heard.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of been the central through line throughout my entire life. And it's not always been something that's been like that got me positive attention. That's true.
Right. But you've been able to be successful because of it.
Sure.
Which leads to our conversation about code switching.
Let's do it.
So, you know what? I personally am having a bit of I call it an authenticity crisis.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So I too am similar in the fact that I can be very opinionated about certain things. Like when I know something, I'm going to say it and I'm going to talk about it. And like recently I was in Chicago. I was out to dinner with some of my friends in Chicago. And one of my homegirls, she was working on a merger for the company she works with. And the owner of the other company was a black woman. But the black woman, because she's quote unquote junior, mind you, she's working directly with the CEO, but because she's junior and not in the C-suite, not the CFO or CEO.
That's what the C-suite means? Okay.
So this black woman proceeded to treat her like she wasn't nothing. Little did this woman know, though, my friend was the decision maker, was the one working the deal, crunching all the numbers, doing the due diligence for the CEO. And so every time they would meet, the CEO would be like, well, I'm going to defer to such and such in the meeting. Basically, it's those movies you've seen where the black woman is a lawyer and the white dude's a paralegal, but they walk in the room and the guy like treats the white dude like he's the lawyer. That's basically what happened, right? And I went off, I get triggered. I was like, fuck that bitch and take her company. I don't give a fuck if she black. Take her company give her as little money as possible. Fuck that shit up. Do your thing. Because my friend is smart. So, like, she knows how to work deals. Like, this is what she does as a highly trained MBA. And my other friends were like, well, okay. Because I literally was like, fuck that bitch in the restaurant.
Yeah. God damn.
And I mean,
That's what happens.
Yeah. So I feel you. But I can't do that at work. And I don't do that at work.
Well, I mean, so I don't look as that. We had this conversation before. I think decorum and code switching are two completely different things, right?
They are.
I wouldn't do that at my grandmother's house.
Fair.
But I also am completely myself at my grandmother's house. Now, if my grandmother was somebody that I felt like I had to completely change my personality, and some grandmothers are like that.
True.
To be around her, I would be switching code. Okay. I would be, making myself more palatable to the situation.
Right.
If I'm on the basketball court, there's a vernacular that's spoken there. Mm-hmm. If I'm on my podcast, there's a vernacular that's spoken there. Mm-hmm. So like we talked about, all of those things are different tools. Now, if I'm on a new basketball team and I'm being less of myself, playing differently than I would normally play because I want these guys to accept me, I'm taking less shots.
Right.
I'm setting all of these different screens, which you should set screens and pass the ball. But I'm just saying,
yes, you should pass the ball.
If I'm playing a different game than I normally play to fit in, then I am switching my player code. Now, I don't have any problem with code switching because I don't think it's my place to judge people who do it.
Right.
Because I'm not in a corporate setting where I have to.
Right.
I am essentially a commodity. I've been commodified. Like when somebody wants Van, they want what they're buying. And that is part of what they're buying is he's unfiltered, he's opinionated, it's all that's what they're buying the freedom of me being me because they feel like that makes their network or their show or their stage panel or whatever better. Okay. I get that when you have a job that you're trying to that there's sometimes and even my job there is to a degree, there's sometimes the massaging of personalities that has to happen. And then secondly, you also have to make sure that you don't turn people off in a certain way.
Right.
Especially in a corporate setting where the rules are different. The only thing I would say is this about that, and I get it. To me, if you're code switching and you're acting less black.
Yes.
Or what you think is less black.
Right.
Because really that term doesn't make very much sense. I think the interesting thing is, and it's a conversation to be had, nobody should be excoriated for it.
Right.
But I think the interesting thing is to have a conversation about like how long we have to do that.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the thing, right?
Yes.
It's like, it's not necessarily I don't mind dealing in the realities of a current day, but I do think it's important to have a conversation about how you can ever be in the workplace or in society an equal citizen. This goes specifically for women also. If you have to portray yourself in a different light to make a different group, specifically the ruling class, comfortable with you.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to do it, right?
Right.
Doesn't mean that you don't have to do all of that other stuff. I'm not saying that like, yo, go in there tomorrow and say, nigga, Toussaint, Nat Turner, fuck y'all. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling anybody to be in a situation where they don't have a job. But I'm saying as a community, we need to think about maybe reconfiguring the code.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this dope conversation I'm having with Van, but we gotta pay some bills about Black Travel Box right now. Hey there, travel enthusiasts. Are you tired of struggling to find hair and skincare products that cater to your unique needs while on the go? Look no further than blacktravelbox.com. Black Travel Box is your one-stop shop for travel-sized natural hair and skincare products, specifically curated for Black travelers. No more settling for generic products that don't work for your hair type or skin tone. Whether you're jet setting to a tropical island or embarking on a cross-country road trip, Black Travel Box has you covered with their convenient and TSA-approved travel kit. Plus, by supporting Black Travel Box, you're not just getting high-quality products, but you're also supporting a Black-owned business that is dedicated to promoting inclusivity in the travel industry. So, travel in confidence, style, and grace with Black Travel Box. Visit blacktravelbox.com now and get ready to slay your next trip. Don't let your beauty routine suffer while you explore the world. And hey guys, let me tell you, Black Travel Box products are amazing, especially that body butter. Listen, I got a promo code for you. Use the code JETSET. That's JETSET, all caps, JETSET. And you can get a discount from Black Travel Box because of who? The Trillist MBA. Happy travels, beautiful people. Now, let's get back to the show. Yes, so this is the dilemma I've found myself. And no, I would never go to work and say, fuck that bitch. But I think what I'm learning is that I have been trying to soften. I've been trying to shrink. I have been trying to make myself palatable for many, many companies. And I thought I was being successful this last time, but clearly, no, I didn't do it right still. Like, it still wasn't good enough. And so it made me realize that maybe I have this wrong. And then the other thing was the CEO of Essence, Caroline Wanga, she had an interview with the CEO of LinkedIn, and she basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said, if you feel the need to change who you are to be where you are, you shouldn't change who you are. You need to change where you are.
Interesting.
And I was just like, I think I've gotten this wrong, because if you listen to my podcast, all you've ever heard me say is, hey, you got to play the game, got to look at the chessboard. And you still do. You still got to look at the chessboard. But I think part of the game that I was telling people to play was like, hey, like how to win friends and influence people. It's great. It's written by an old white man telling other old white men how to like influence them. And so it's really about human behavior. So I really got to like, hey, we can use human behavior. We can be very intentional with our language and how we show up to influence where we are. And yes, it works to a certain extent. But then it's like, for someone like me, and it could just be, you just don't belong, which really is hurtful after I've been to all this school and I got student loans and shit. Like, do I not belong? Like, how is that? And then, okay, if I don't belong in corporate, where the fuck do I belong? I don't know, except for maybe this is it, right? Maybe the things that I'm doing now. But I really am having a crisis because I am literally coaching people and telling them, like, show up as your best version of yourself. I have literally coached people on how to wear their hair, put glasses on, put this color lipstick on based on the personality of the person that they were trying to influence. That shit works, though.
I'm sure it does.
That's the crazy thing. Like, it works, but to me, it's not sustainable.
Right. I'm sure it does. So look, it's interesting, right? Because I think there are two things at play. Number one, sometimes we limit ourselves in terms of scope of our personalities. Mm-hmm. Nobody's any one thing.
Right.
So because nobody is any one thing, that means you can be somebody at work and be authentic.
Right.
And you can also be somebody around your friends and be authentic.
Yes.
Okay. So nobody's any one thing. Secondly, it's like, I want to commend you about something. For a person that's accomplished as much as you have, and as it's oftentimes really, really difficult for people to pivot in something that they might be thinking. So the fact that you're still learning and applying things like that and doing an intellectual inventory on yourself it shows why you've been so successful and why things have worked for you that way and why you're so charismatic. So that's really, really, that's something that's sometimes even not even hard, like it's even hard. It's sometimes hard for me because I put so much work into trying to figure something out. Then new information comes, I'm like, God damn,
Right.
So that's important right there, right? But I would also say that, like, man, it's interesting. Like, people are multifaceted. People have like different sides. Like, you're not the same person when you're in the restaurant on the date with somebody than you are when you get back to their apartment, right? Hopefully you've loosened up a little bit, and hopefully everything is consensual.
Drinks.
Yeah. So, I'm saying is, like, what I would hope that people would do is actually not put so much pressure on themselves. And
that's good advice.
And what I would hope that people would do be to realize that you can only try as hard as you can. You can only give your best effort. And bumping your head up against the wall about who's going to appreciate you and to me, it's like futile.
Yeah.
It's conversations between you and your therapist. What you do is you go out there and you do it your best. And the moment that you think that your worth will not be valued, you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Every single moment, if you can, like, you start the moment you realize, oh, these people don't value me, start thinking about where else you could go.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying go and quit your job the moment.
No.
But the moment you go, oh, well, like, I hear from people all the time, particularly black women, Kalika, my girl, right? She was working at a place. She made she invented a system.
Black girl magic.
For their, she invented a system. Like, we were thinking about going to have it patented. She invented a whole system. And they act like they didn't give a fuck. I'm like, yo, man, I don't know how much longer we could do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was very hurtful to her because she cares so much.
Oh,
and
yes.
the ingenuity and the time that it took.
Yeah.
And all of what she put into it. But like, they not fucking with you.
Right.
Not like they should be.
Right.
They're not appreciating you. So we might have to go someplace where we appreciate it. And if it takes a while to think about it or to find someplace, it takes a while to find someplace and you work there as long as you can. It's just like, I think that sometimes it's hard for us to value who we are, and we put a little bit more value in who we think they want us to be.
Yeah. And I'm starting to get some ahas these last couple of months that, like, Felicia, it don't matter what you try to change yourself or try to do. When somebody values you, they value you and what you bring to the table.
Remember how we met?
Yes, it was
So we met, right? We met, and
Joelle.
through Joelle, our trainer, and you said that, shout out Joelle, and you said that you did a podcast where you're a black lady, you have an MBA where you teach, and what did I say to you?
I think you said, that's interesting.
I
That's
said,
so dope.
come on my podcast.
Yes, and you said, come on my podcast, and I was like, huh, what?
Do you know why? What you do is valuable to me. And for me, when I see the value in something, I empower it. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
So what you do is valuable to me. And there's all kinds of ways that sometimes people aren't to the point to where they can see the value in something yet. Sometimes there's a book that everyone should read. It's called Predictably Irrational. It's by a behavioral economist named Dan Ariely.
Okay.
And so many of the things in the book that deal in human behavior and deal in why we do the things that we do, so many of them are influenced by the environments that we come from and just the environment that we're in. Like, there was one that they did to where they put a math problem on the board and there were like 6 people and like 6 marks. And they had the first 6 people come up and give the wrong answer to the math problem. The people behind them, even though they knew it was wrong,
They still wrote
they agreed.
Yes.
Because there's this inherent need for human beings to feel like together and a part of something.
Right.
So when we are in these spaces and they're white, those white people feel safe together.
They do.
They feel safe together. They get each other, the little mob mentality. And there's no way to know whether or not they're ever going to feel safe with you.
Right.
So the one thing that you can't do is give them your identity, and your safety.
Right.
You have to hold on to something.
Right.
But we also have to be there for each other.
Yes. And we need to be kinfolk. So I really appreciate you. I remember I first saw you at the gym. My mentee was here for his birthday. So it was like this around the week of December 23rd, because that's his birthday. And so I said, come to the gym with me. This gym is amazing. And blah, blah, blah. And you were on the phone in the garage. And I looked at you and I was like, I feel like I've seen him before. And then I said, is that, and then, because, being in LA, I think everybody's famous. Like, I even thought Erica, I was like, Erica, you on a movie, right? When I met her, she was like, I just, what, nigga, no.
Best man holiday.
Something. And so he was like, nah, you probably just doing that thing. You think everybody's famous because you're in LA. And then when Joelle was talking about you and just like, you got to meet Van. And I was like, who's Van? I don't know who Van is. And so then that day that she introduced us, I went and Googled you and I was like, that's the TMZ guy.
Yeah, Kanye West dude.
Kanye. And then I was like, holy shit, we're going on this podcast. And because I'm from Victoria, Texas.
Also, people don't be knowing who I am because I kept it real. I keep it real with my with the Honda Accord Cross Tour.
Listen,
I'm keep it real, man.
I drive a Honda Accord. I just
sedan. Man. Like, my management been trying to hey Van, listen, when you show up to a place and you're in a car, like we went to the Peninsula one time, and I'm the type of nigga, like, I pull up in my shit and I tell you, yo, I give you $200, put my shit in the front. I just want to see it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see it. I swear to God, bro. I want to see Maserati, fucking Benz,
Right.
fucking Bentley truck, and then I want to see the 2010 Honda Accord Crossover. My shit not even washed. I'm like, yeah, we'll put it right here. And so it just looks so crazy. I got all kinds of pictures. I got pictures of my shit in front of the Peninsula. I got pictures of my shit in front of the water. I got pictures of my shit in front of all kinds of places, right? And they'll be like, yo, we need you to, when you show up to a place, it's like, at least get your brakes fixed. Like, your car's brakes are squeaking. Like, we can hear them, Van. It's like, that makes the people from the network think that you're not doing well. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like that type of shit because, it's like, niggas, it's so funny. I be in traffic like, shit. Oh, shit, you did it again? God damn, nigga.
They can't count your coins.
Like, you straight? About, nah, I'm doing good, bro. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But it's like, I like little things to kind of fuck with people and
Right.
like make sure that I remember that all of this shit, we are on a rock in the middle of space.
Amen.
We made of stardust, and it's really not about where you work or what you're doing. It's about how much peace you have.
Yes.
And anything that disturbs your peace or interrupts the stillness of your soul, it's going to take you from this earth sooner than it should be. It took me a long time to realize that. Like, my father died 2021. I know I keep bringing him up, and that's like another way that I cope. My father died 2021, and he died of congestive heart failure, right? Mm-hmm. And so I remember when he was diagnosed with it, he wasn't that much older than I am now. You're supposed to live for like 5 years with it. But he beat the odds. He lived till he was about 66. He lived till he was 66 years old. And he had an exemplary life. Mm-hmm. He was a baseball player and a rodeo cowboy and a hunter and a Lothario and all of these things, but he never really had peace. Mm-hmm. It was always a battle to fight, always something to kill. There was always something in front of him that had to be destroyed. Mm-hmm. And if you don't live a peaceful existence, if you don't find some sort of symbiosis between yourself emotionally and physically, you could end up leaving at 66. Yeah. And so, we want so many things so badly.
Yeah.
And we want to make our marks. But what we really should want, like, in my opinion, mm-hmm. what we really should want, and what's always been denied to us as Black people, is serenity. Is happiness. Yeah. And I can tell people right now, I've made $50,000 a year. I've made $200,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I've made $500,000 a year.
I ain't there yet.
I've made $1 million a year. And I can tell you, as stupid as it sounds, it just doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have more stuff to take care of. Right. And more, it really doesn't.
Right.
2020 was the year to where, like, after I left TMZ, I made triple the money that I made there, like, mm-hmm. right away. Just because I was able to do more stuff, right? And I have made more money in 2020, even during the pandemic, than I ever made before.
Wow.
Ever. I remember just looking at this and like looking at the numbers and going, shit. And when I tell you, I can't even describe how unhappy I was. And when I say unhappy, like unhappy to the point to where, and it's all in the book, but like I'm unhappy to the point to where I'm like, yo, will I ever enjoy anything ever again?
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes you have days and you're like, oh man, I'm so happy today. Mm-hmm. Like even today I had all of this shit to do, but I was happy. And I was just thinking, the air is heavy. I can't sleep. I went a whole month sleeping about 40 minutes a night. Oof. Like the air is heavy. I can't sleep. My skin is on fire. I'm walking around downtown. I'm looking at homeless people and I'm crying because like they're sleeping. Yeah. And I'm like, it just didn't matter. That's all I'm saying. It just didn't matter. None of it mattered. Like, and so it's difficult to like tell people that sometimes, but I see a lot of people just, yo man, if I could just book this thing, if I could just do this, if I could just do that, and then they do it. And then a year from now, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So just everybody, do as well, make as much money, go to Tulum, go to fucking, I don't know when niggas started going to Tulum, but like go to Tulum, do all of that shit. But wake up, look at the sun, take some time for yourself, breathe, feel things, get a pet, hold the dog, try to find somebody to love on. You just don't have a lot of time here.
No. I appreciate you. Hey guys, so listen, we've had a wonderful time with Van, but we gotta let Van go. Again, as always, if you guys need any help or advice, hit me up at ask@trillingba.com/coaching to schedule your consultation with me. It's a 45-minute consultation. Yes, it does cost. Or you can email us at ask@trillingba.com. We will try to answer your question. If we can't, we will work to connect you to the right person, because hey, I don't have all the answers all the time, right guys? So we will work to connect you with the right person. Again, that's trillingba.com/coaching to set up a consultation with me to help you work through your specific work situation, or ask@trillingba.com. The Trill and BA Show is a Fair World Corp LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Brian Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.